Homecoming game, you got everybody coming back. It's always great to see those fans and ex-players and alumni be able to walk out of the stadium with a good taste in their mouth. And that's the number one thing. It's great to get a win. Be honest with you, I had major concerns about that football team coming in. I know you guys all think I don't know what I'm talking about at times, but I thought that football team, being just 3 years into their program, it's amazing what they've accomplished. And going into that game, they were averaging right at 500 yards a game against playing good people. And I didn't know, how successful we'd be able to stop them, but Coach Heater and that defensive staff did a tremendous job. I think they had 254 total yards. We tried to take away their perimeter runs. We were able to do that. The turnovers were huge. And that defense just keeps getting better offensively. I've also said that I think at times we may not be as good statistically as we were a year ago, but we could be a better offense. We slowed down a little bit in the second half, and we used some clock. We gained, we ran the ball. We were able to get the first down, stick it back. It took 5 minutes off the clock to stick that last touchdown in, which was good to see. And the special teams got a kickoff return, we had a couple punt returns, and I think those things are starting to come along a little bit. So, our goal was to try to play our most complete game yet. I think we did that. We want to know our conference, which is important. We had to get to that point. I thought I had a great week of preparation this week. We're playing, I guess we're playing, we're playing both of this week. We're ready for those guys. So, we'll take a few questions.
Coach, I thought your defensive line just dominated the game.
Yeah, I knew two things going in is that, I thought their skilled players were really good skilled players. I thought the quarterback was excellent. That offensive line, to be honest, had not been dominated by Oklahoma State or Arizona or anybody they played. I thought our kids, for the most part, got after them pretty good. And again, we were able to take care of the perimeter, with our secondary and our safeties and that type of thing. That helped play well.
For the defense to start so strong, so fast, coming off a bye week, what does that tell you about the team?
Well, a lot of times in bye, I think the one positive about our bye week was, that team's a little bit is different, and for us to have 2 weeks prepared for the perimeter runs, the way they threw the ball. I thought the one thing our defensive backs did, they took away the easy access throws, with exception a couple of times. We tried to press up, and I know DT got called on that one down there in that one corner, which I'm not quite sure that's what it was, but I thought the defensive backs, played extremely well. We tackled well, the linebackers ran, and it was good to see.
Fast starts haven't really been the norm for you guys, but then you come out with 17 points. It's your highest total yet in the first quarter. What was it that kind of got you rolling, other than those big deflections?
Well, I think the turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, they won the toss and took the ball, and we were able to, that kicker of ours just continued to, the field position on kickoffs. That year has been tremendous. He's one of the top 5 guys in the country with touchdowns. So I don't know exactly where he is there, but the field position the defense has started with has been huge. And then we got 2 turnovers back to back, 2 interceptions there in the first half, which gave us great field position. We were able to turn one into a touchdown, one into 3, and we were able to do the ball with it. We knew going in that there's some 300-pounders up front there that were not a whole lot of people had blocked them. At times we blocked them pretty well. At times we did. But, I thought for the most part offensively we executed pretty well, with the exception at the end of the half.
You had Stephon Houston back healthy today, and he ended up being the leading tackler. Was this kind of a good game to use his talents?
Yeah, there's no doubt it's a perimeter game. But what we're trying to do is get our best level on the field, and we made Stephon Houston the sandbacker. So we got him in there with Kelby and Neville and Jermaine and all those guys. But what happened was they gave us a lot of 21 personnel, and which means we got a lot of 2 back, tight end, 2 tight end, 1 back type things, which allows us to play 3 backers instead of a nickel package. We also got into our nickel package. We gave them a couple of different looks up front there, what we call a radar defense. 2 some guys moved around with that. I thought they were 4 of 14, I think, on 3rd down conversions, which was huge. We got off the ball with 3rd down, and some of the packages that Chuck had installed in the 2-week period there, I think helped us a little bit there.
Were you guys doing anything special on the penetration from the corners? It seems, especially with those deflections in the first couple of drives, they couldn't really keep you out of the backfield.
You're talking about the corners on the receivers?
Oh no, the penetration from the corner from the ends.
Yeah, well, we were getting that short edge right there. We were bringing that corner off the edge there, and which is something they hadn't seen too. And so we got, they were doing some unbalanced stuff and gave us that short edge right there. We were blitzing our corner off that edge there, and we were able to take away the power and some things. The backside corner is probably what you're talking about, that power to run opposite the corner and be able to make a play from the backside. But again, I can't give enough credit to the defensive players and the defensive staff and our offensive staff. They've done a tremendous job preparing for that team.
Well, with their blocking scheme, a lot of cut blocks and things like that. If those guys don't get cut, they're able to get their hands up and stay upright and sort of get their hands in the way of closing.
I thought we batted some balls down there in that game, which we haven't gotten at this point.
You gave up 43 points a game after your first 4 games last year. This year's
Pretty good,
19.
Jack, you know what I mean?
But no, the improvement is obvious.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm not, you know, it's a little bit like our offense from 2 years ago to last year, the improvement it made. And, I mean, you know, I thought our defense would be better. Number one, because I think we got better players. There's some new guys that are now playing that didn't play a year ago, but you got to give a lot of credit to Chuck and Adam and JC and Sean, because they coached those guys extremely hard as guys are taking coaching, and you know, we're so much further along offensively. I mean, stats, they do mean something when you're, you know, when you're, I mean, just look at the stats, it's pretty much speaks for itself as far as what our defense is. I think they're number one in the conference, and that's really changed things after today.
But with that bye week, it seemed like guys like Stephon Houston, Gary Thompson, some of the newer guys, they weren't thinking as much. You could say that there was an acceleration about them, and they were sort of flying around to the ball.
Well, they're starting to play now. I mean, Gary Thompson, Josh Brown, and you mentioned, you know, Evan hadn't played a bunch, but Taj Letman, the safety, and A.J. Leggett, you know, there's just so many new names in there that hadn't played a lot of football for us that, you know, having that bye week and having 2 weeks prepared for a team, that helps. And I think there's no doubt it helps. I was concerned going in with their offense.
How happy you were with the offensive line, especially considering Jordan's out, Grady's out, and it seems that the depth that you have been, you know, thankful for really wasn't there today.
Yeah, well, you know, we got, you know, the Selby kid's going in and playing an awful lot, true freshman, which doesn't normally happen, but he's going to be a really good player, and we're rolling. We got to get Van Horn. We got to get him back. He didn't practice for about 1 day because of concussion the last couple of weeks. He didn't play a lot today. We got to get him back in the rotation to provide some depth there for us, and he'll be fine. That offensive line, you know, again, Alex does a good job with them. And, you know, we felt going in the guard, you know, Jaspers and the 2 guards had a great challenge with those 2 3 technique and that 2-eye because they're extremely physical and they do a good job. They're hard to knock off the ball. Time to help get them out. Sometimes it is.
Well, there were times where the pocket did collapse around Cato, and instead of throwing the ball up like he did a little bit late against Virginia Tech, he held on to it and took the side. Is that something you're happy with, or is that something that
you just got to take care of the ball? There's a couple times down there, and he knows. I mean, the kid, you know, he's get rid of it and take the field goal or put the ball away, and you know, we got to do a great job of taking care of the football. If we take care of the football, we win. I mean, for the most part. And we just got to make sure we continue to do a great job. I know they had 3 turnovers. I think we had 1, so +2 there, which we shouldn't have any. I mean, take care of the ball. We talked about, you know, we scored in the red zone. We were 6 for 6 in the red zone. We talk about the playing to win all the time. It starts with playing great defense. I know we did that. You know, we take care of the balls. Number 2, we had one too many, which is way too many. We shouldn't have any. Scored in the red zones. The next thing we talked about, we were 6 for 6 and dominated special teams. I thought for the most part we did that. You know, we got to punt the ball a little better, but you know, our kick return was solid, our punt return was solid, our kickoff's been good. You know, a lot of it because of our kicker, but it's still good. So you know, I think we got to get better on special teams. As long as we can do those 4 things every week, majority of the time, or for the most part, you're going to win the game.
Coach, you had the last offensive drive, almost 6 minutes, longest drive of the season, and that's an eternity for you guys. How important is it to be able to put on the brakes and kind of stretch the game out?
I've talked all along. When you can play defense, you know, you need to slow it down at times. And remember, I told you guys early on that the one thing we want to try to be, we couldn't do that a year ago. You know, we couldn't slow it down, block anybody. And so it was great to be able to see that we decided to slow it down. Not only did we take 5 or 6 minutes off the clock, which you mentioned, but we also stuck it in and scored. So that was good, and that's a step forward for our offense, because being able to change pace, you know, whenever your defense is playing, you know, you get your defense playing like our defense is playing, we just take care of the football and punt it, and you're up a couple of score chances, already got a pretty good shot at winning the football game. So we got to continue to do a great job in all 3 phases, and get to this point, I think we played the most complete game that continue to play.
Coach, you threw the touchdown pass to Devon Johnson, and you had some different wide receiver pairings, Jazz King and Josh Hunt one time. How are those people developing at this point?
Well, they have to. I mean, we got to, Devin Johnson made a play today. He's got to continue to get better and play. McGator's been banged up a little bit, so Devin's played a little more today. Moo starting to make some plays out there at wideout. It was great to see Jazz go in there and make a couple plays today. Wilkins was back in there for the day and made a couple of plays. He's been out for about 3 weeks because he's been injured. I think for the most part, we're relatively healthy there. Those guys have to continue. Reeves is a good football player. You saw what Reeves could do on the kickoff return, and he can play slot receiver with Tommy, and so we got to get Reeves in there some too. So we're going to need them all. It's a long season. We've got 7 left, and we get ready to go next week.
Are Jordan and Grady long-term deals? You expect them back sooner than later?
I don't know. We'll talk. I got to get to the doctors and all that, and I worry a little bit about Jordan.
Doc, what about the one down line when everybody's standing up? How much confusion? Because I know they don't see this, and all of a sudden they go, what is all this about? How much of that your package goes in, but yeah, this is something I know they didn't prepare for it, and they didn't have an answer. And now somebody down the road's got to think, well, they got this in the system now too. So
even when you prepare for it, what you got to do with your pass protection, you got to identify who Mike is. You got to be able to slide protection one way or the other based on where Mike is or where that number, whatever guy that is. And you got guys constantly changing, moving around. It's hard to identify who the point is. So what ends up happening is normally ends up being just a slide protection. And, ends up being a slide protection with the tailback off the edge or something like that. So you can force them in to some protection issues because they can't ID, the front, which helps us a little bit. They probably call them off guard a little bit.